Hello everybody and welcome to round 7 of the AFL tips and predictions video for 2025. I'm your host, the Matt Danger, joined here by the lovely uncle.
Hello.
How are you, mate? We're good this week.
Good, how are you?
Lovely, awesome. We're still getting over the sickness, but we'll be fine.
Excellent.
Yeah, so last week was a bit interesting. Very big upset week, I think. I think total tips were myself with 3 and yourself with 4. I'm not going to go through the ones we got wrong because it's actually quicker to go through the ones we got right. We both got Carlton over North Melbourne. We both got Essendon over West Coast, just barely. You got Adelaide over GWS. I got Bulldogs over St Kilda. And then you also got Geelong over Hawthorn. So, full of a weird week, I think. So that brings my total up to 35 and yours up to 34. So you're now only 1 point behind me, Uncle.
Okay, good.
Excellent. This week we're going to be starting the Gauntlet tip as well, which is a thing on the AFL tipping website where you have to tip one team to win every single week. That is guaranteed for the last 18 weeks of the season, but you can't tip the same team twice, basically. So you essentially... every team has to win in the last 18 weeks, and you got to correctly guess when they'll get that win, kind of thing. So
yeah, deep we go.
yeah, game 1 of round 7 this Thursday, day before Anzac Day. Melbourne versus Richmond, 7:30 at the G. I thought I heard somewhere that this is going to be the fixture of pre Anzac Day fixture from now on.
Standard night before Anzac. Yeah, I heard the same.
So I think Melbourne were quite impressive against Fremantle last week. They finally really kicked into gear. Richmond played a very good game as well against Gold Coast, but I think I'll go Melbourne. I just think that their guns are just better than what Richmond's guns are, I guess.
Yeah, their best is better than Richmond's best.
Yeah.
Richmond, we've got to factor in the Noah Bolter factor. Probably he'll have his 10 p.m. curfew, so he won't be playing in this game.
Yep.
You take him. I think they were a bit inspired last week because of all the shenanigans around Bolter. So take him out of the team. I think they lose a lot of structure down back, and I'll be picking Melbourne.
Yep.
That one as well.
I'm going to go as far as using my gauntlet on Melbourne.
Right.
So yeah, there you go. That's my gauntlet pick, guaranteed pick.
What as we go, are we?
Yep. Call it as you go. I'm using it on the very first game of the round.
Right. Well, I'm doing the same.
Are you going Melbourne as well?
Yeah, I've done Melbourne as well.
Bang.
Yeah.
I think the strategy is whenever you see a bottom 4 team or a team outside the top 8 that have an all but guaranteed win, you just pop it then. I think. That's what's going to be the strategy.
Yeah, my theory of this game, because these are both bottom 4 teams.
Yeah.
So it's going to be hard to pick Melbourne or Richmond at any stage during the year's gauntlets. So I'm going to try and cross Melbourne off early.
Yep. Yeah, that was my
strategy. Get it done. If we fail, then we're done. But if we're good, then we can sort of tip against Melbourne most of the rest of the year.
Exactly. You fail in the first week, cool. Melbourne might not win another game for the year, and therefore you're going to lose it anyway. So... But onto the Anzac Day clash, the traditional Collingwood versus Essendon Anzac Day clash. 3:20 at the G. Collingwood super impressive against Brisbane at the Gabba, winning by 52 points. It was an amazing game for them. Essendon just scraping across the line against a very brave West Coast, I thought. So I think Collingwood definitely for sure will have this one this week as well.
Yeah, I think Collingwood are the number 1 team at the moment.
Yep.
Form-wise going around, so Essendon, bit hit and miss. You don't know what they're going to bring, so yeah, Collingwood quite safely there.
Yeah. We've got 2 games on Anzac Day this year. We got Fremantle versus the Crows at 8:10 Optus Stadium. I think it's very tough pick. Fremantle, yeah, they lost this week against Melbourne. Melbourne haven't won a game up until this week, but being at home, it probably bodes well for them. Adelaide, however, in probably the worst game of the year, even when we get to the end of the year, we'll probably look at it and say that game was pretty awful. That was a genuinely disgusting display from both teams. But I think Rochelle is back as well this week. I think he's a test to play. So we could be looking at a full-strength Adelaide side, which I think both teams are needing to win. Adelaide need to win some... Says Thor's in the back there. Adelaide are needing to win some games away from home. And I think Fremantle, that are in the same kind of bracket, playing for final spots, they need to be able to beat those teams. So I'm gonna go Adelaide though.
Okay, this is the annual Len Hall game. They've done this game on Anzac Day a few times, Fremantle, against different opponents. I think this year Adelaide.
They've got I saw a stat today. They've played 11 times on Anzac Day, and they've got a 74% win streak. So it's pretty good. Pretty good there.
Yeah. I think they'll win. I'm going to stick with Fremantle. They've, playing away from home, I'm a bit reluctant to pick them again. They've been pretty average, but at home, I'm a bit more safe. I feel a bit more safe picking them. So it'll be a good game. Probably one of the games of the round to watch for sure. But I'll stick with Fremantle.
Yeah, it's fair. I think it's a very 50-50 game. I mean, the tippers percentage has it 54 to 46, so practically 50-50. And even the dollar odds are $1.86 to $1.98, so they're both very, very close together. On to Saturday, 26th at 1:20, St Kilda versus Brisbane. This was part of the stat that I saw. Uncle, they've played 8 times on Anzac Day and never won once. St Kilda?
St Kilda?
Yep. St Kilda have never won a game on Anzac Day.
Right, okay. Yeah. Lucky it's not on Anzac Day then.
Yeah, and luckily it's probably at Marvel. But against Brisbane, I think Brisbane will bounce back hot this week. Both teams I thought played pretty poorly. But Brisbane's best is better than St Kilda's best. So I've got Brisbane for this one.
Yeah, I agree with you. Nothing more to add there. I think Brisbane should win this.
Yeah. After that's 4:15 over at Adelaide Oval. We got Port Adelaide versus North Melbourne. Port Adelaide backed up their win against Hawthorn with a nice win over Sydney in Sydney as well. But I'm a bit afraid of their fourth quarters. They haven't won a fourth quarter this year yet. So that's going to be something I think North Melbourne can kind of pick up on. If they can be within reach at 3/4 time, then it'll be good for them. I think they'll spark a little bit as well. Their midfields were quite poor, and Alistair Clarkson was quite vocal about that too. So I expect their midfielders to spark this week, but I still think Port Adelaide at home in the first 3 quarters can put a margin that's too out of reach for North Melbourne. So I'm going to go with them.
Yeah, I agree. They should do enough in 3 quarters to fall over and not do anything in the last quarter like they've done and still win. So, yeah, Port Adelaide for me.
Yeah. On to my game of the round. Saturday night, 7:35, GWS versus Western Bulldogs. Jesse Hogan should be back this week. And I think I was actually thinking of probably tipping Bulldogs prior to this week's game. But with the outs of Sam Darcy, I think Bulldogs might struggle with a good forward to be able to match Jesse Hogan up at the other end. So we'll go with the Giants, but traditionally I think these two put on absolute crackers. So I think this one will be game of the round for me, but I'm going to go GWS.
Yeah, I think we've said just about every week the Bulldogs have been so hard hit with injuries that it's hard to pick them. They just keep showing up, don't they? They keep playing well, and even when Darcy down, we thought that, well, that's it. And they rallied, though. They rallied really well. Norton stood up and played his best game for a long time. But
Jesus stood up on Easter Sunday too. He returned.
He did,
returned from the death, and boy, did he show up real well.
But like you, I'm going to stick with the Giants. They were awful, weren't they, against Adelaide? As we said, one of the worst games of the year. And they're not that bad. So GWS to win here.
I still think GWS will be a top 4 side come the end of the year. So I expect them to, and they're practically, I think they're full strength with Jesse Hogan in. So I can't see why they wouldn't have the manpower to overdo Western Bulldogs. Sunday, 3 games on Sunday. I don't like it. There's 2 games that overlap, Uncle. I don't like it. Sunday at 1:10 at People First Stadium, we got Gold Coast versus Sydney. Gold Coast, I think, will be getting a huge spray from Damien Hardwick this week, and at home, I think they'll be too strong for Sydney. Sydney are clearly not the Sydney that they were last year. For one, didn't think a simple change of coach would have the impact that it has on them negatively. No. And I think Gold Coast midfield are just firing on all cylinders. So I think they'll outclass Sydney this week.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, Sydney just haven't looked any good at all this year. They've been patchy, like a few other teams, but I can't see them even making the 8. The way they're playing, especially if they keep with McCartan up forward. I don't know why they keep experimenting. Every time he's gone there, they've lost. So I'd be sticking with him as a backman.
They're really struggling for that forward, that real key forward, especially with Namadi not there. And I don't think Amadi's great anyway, but he's an option there. And without him, you don't really have an option. I do, however, I believe that Logan McDonald will be back this week. I think I was reading that he was started training last week with so this week he might be back. That'll help. That'll give him an option up forward.
Give him a week to find his form.
Yeah.
In that case, yeah, Gold Coast for me.
Gold Coast though. 3:20 at the MCG. Carlton versus Geelong. Carlton have been really good against teams that are in the bottom 4. I mean, you got to be half decent to win by 80 points even against a bottom 4 team. But I just think Geelong are just too classy and too good this year. I just really want a year where Geelong isn't good, but unfortunately this year ain't it.
This year, yeah,
Geelong for me.
McKay should be back.
Yeah,
you reckon? McKay will be back from his concussion, so that'll help him up forward.
Yeah, they'll be. I mean, Geelong will be missing Myers, at least for this week.
Yeah, and he's key. When he went off on Monday against Hawthorn, they fell away a bit.
Yeah,
Hawthorn, if they'd have kicked well, kicking fish are horrible. But if they'd have kicked well, Geelong would have lost. So
correct.
I'm tempted to go Carlton actually this game.
Hmm?
Yeah, the Myers out is pretty significant, I think. So with McKay back and Myers out, I'm going to go Carlton.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I'm still going to stick with Geelong, but the tip is 17% to 83%, but I would almost put it 60-40. I think Geelong's win this week wasn't necessarily a Geelong win; it was more of a Hawthorn loss. Hawthorn's kicking inside forward 50, like at goal, was horrendous. It was so many shots that they missed out on the full or from very short range, and they're hitting the post or missing completely. Hawthorn should have easily won that by 3 goals at least. So we'll see. But to finish off the round at 4:40 over at Marvel as well, it is Hawthorn versus West Coast. West Coast, I thought, were very brave. They put up a good fight. They stuck it in there. They almost could have won if Liam Ryan had just A, kicked well, and B, not played on with 2 minutes to go, and then kick it nowhere. But Hawthorn will be, I think, bouncing back, and it's a good game for them to bounce back, get their mojo back. So I'll be going with them.
Yeah. The next 3 weeks are probably gimmies for Hawthorn. So, this will be good to get their confidence back after a couple of losses since their bye. So, I don't know why there's on footy tips on my side. There's 1% West Coast Eagles. I don't even know why it's 1%. 0%.
You always have those people that tip the upset. You never know, but it's not going to happen.
No, Hawthorn.
Yeah. All right. Well, there you go. If you want to watch live with us, especially on Thursday night and on Anzac Day, we'll be here live doing our reactions. We've been enjoying the people that have been coming around to say hi. It's been fun. So if you want to be part of that, feel free to just drop by. It'll be here on YouTube and on Twitch, so wherever you're comfortable watching. But besides that, give us a like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys next week.
See you later.